Are you feeling overwhelmed by all the leadership advice out there? I hear you. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how real change doesn't come from reading every book or taking every class. It's about making small, intentional improvements every day. How picking one thing that you've learned recently and putting it into action can help you grow as a leader more than any other thing you can think of. Progress happens step by step. Let's do this together. Welcome to We've All Done It, the podcast for leaders who get the work done, but find the people part of leading frustrating. I'm Kimberly Benoit, author, award-winning former corporate executive, and leadership coach. With over 20 years in the corporate world, I've seen it all, the good, the bad, and the downright messy. If you've ever avoided a tough conversation, played favorites without realizing it, or just wondered, why is leading people so hard? You're in the right place because we've all done it. This is your space for real talk, real solutions, and no judgment. Together, I'll share practical strategies to help you navigate workplace drama, build stronger teams, and lead with confidence. No more pretending, no more suffering in silence, just honest, actionable leadership from someone who's been in your shoes. Are you ready to lead differently? Let's do this. Hey, everybody. How are you doing today? There's so much going on. Are you surviving out in leadership land? All right. I know days are tough. I know times are tough. I know leading teams is getting more challenging. I wish I could say it's getting easier. I don't think anything is getting easier, which is why today I want to talk to you about something I think is really important. It's the cornerstone of what I do, which is leadership development. And I kind of want to address a big elephant in the room, that development requires a lot of time, that development is big classes and big conventions and big conferences and commitment to reading books and books and books and books. And I want to tell you, I don't think that's where it is at all. It might be a little bit controversial, but I can actually recall a time when I used to work with somebody who said to me, and said it very seriously, that if a leader wasn't reading one book a week, they didn't take their development seriously. And I laughed in their face and said, clearly, I don't know what you do, but most leaders I know don't have the time, the energy, or the desire to read one leadership book a week. I know I took leadership very seriously and my development very seriously, but I was not going to read a book a week. Because the candid truth is becoming a better leader isn't about reading the book. It's about doing something with what you read. It's not about attending the class. It's about what do you actually change about what you do as a result of those courses or workshops or webinars. I can't even begin to tell you how many hours, hundreds, if not thousands of hours of trainings and webinars I've attended over the course of my professional life, where I thought, man, this was great. This was wonderful. And then I returned back to my desk and my team in my company, and then proceeded to basically be the exact same person I was before I actually went and did those trainings. So today, I really want us to flip it on its head a little bit about what it means to continually develop and to try to be a better leader than you were yesterday. Because at the end of the day, that's really what this is about. When we talk about development, it is, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be in order to show up closer to the version of leader you want to be and that you believe your team deserves, right? When you think about the leaders you have, who do you want your leaders to be? How do you want them to show up for you? It's the same concept. When you take on that role of leader, it's such a tremendous privilege, but also a tremendous responsibility that we have got to do work on ourselves. I don't know about you. I know I am not perfect. I'm not remotely close to it. I have days where I think I'm fairly good to middling, if you want to say it. And then there are other days when I look back and I think, God, I wish I could have a do-over. That's not the way I wanted to say something. I brought in really the wrong energy into that room. Um, even the best of us do it. Even the best of us have bad days. Even the best of us muddle our words. I mean, heaven's sake, I've gone back and listened to a lot of these podcast episodes, and I am horrified at the muddling of my words. And I think about how many conversations take place that I'm not recording myself. I can't really hear back how badly I botched it, just as I can when I'm listening to old versions and old recordings of this podcast. But what it has done is has spurred me to want to be better. I want to be a better podcast host and better communicator for you because I value this entity, I value this medium, and I value you as my listener, that you deserve a better version of me every episode possible. No differently than when you lead teams, your team members deserve better versions of you when you're exposed to stuff and you're exposed to new ideas and experiences and time and talent. So here's what I want to say, because I can almost envision people out there saying, I'm barely keeping up as is. What else are you going to ask me to do? And what I'm going to ask you to do sounds very small, but I know it's big, right? True growth happens in the incremental action. And I say this because, there's this whole idea that, you work forever to build trust and you make one mistake and it's broken. And that is very much true. I've broken trust and it's been almost impossible to get it back when I acted poorly as a leader, right? But what I would say is as in the role you're in, I would encourage you to try to take pressure off of yourself and realize true change, true development happens in incremental actions. So one, I want you to also understand that it takes 3 very important elements that can also be lacking or in minimal supply, which is it requires a lot of energy on your part. You have to have energy to do it. You have to have a desire to want to be better and to reflect and to figure out how to add things in. And the last is you have to be patient. No differently than I know we're all thinking about, like, we're coming into spring and beach bodies, and no differently that you go to the gym once, you're not going to be completely built and all, cut and muscular. The same thing applies to human behavior. Just because you try something once doesn't mean that behavior is going to stick. So what I'm encouraging you to do is to reflect on in the last month, if you've listened to a podcast or if you have had the time to read a book or if you've attended a webinar in the last, say, month, just look back at your calendar. What I would like you to do is look at notes and think about one thing that you had, like that aha moment for you, whatever that aha was, and figure out how to embrace that or embed that into your behavior in the next week. So I'll give you an example, one that I'm working on. I'll tie it back to this podcast since I gave that as an example a few minutes ago, is I have come to the realization I have an awful use of filler words. Awful. And the other thing that I have a problem is I get very excited and I don't always finish out my thought before I start the second one. So what I'm making a point in doing, not just during recordings of this podcast, because I can technically go in and edit that, but I try not to. I want you to have as honest of an experience as possible. But in my interactions and in my conversations with people just in my daily life, I am trying to slow down my speech, pay very close attention to what I say, make sure I'm finishing my thought before I start another one, and to try to really catch myself before I start throwing in some some ahs, and ohs. Those traditional filler words that nobody really wants to hear, but we all say anyway. Particularly in a podcast, I know that can be really, really annoying. And also the fact that you deserve a better experience. And this is going to make me a better host. It will make me a better podcaster and overall just a better communicator, not just in this medium, but in other mediums as well. Is it annoying to talk slower? Yes. I'm just going to get it out there. Yes. Does it require a ton of patience for me? Yes. It is taking a tremendous amount of energy, tons of mental energy, because I'm overly paying attention to everything I'm about to say and really trying to make sure it's coming out as clearly and concisely and complete as possible. However, I know the more that I do this, and as much as it's painful now, building these habits are going to serve me better in the long run. No differently than that webinar, no differently than that training you sat through, no differently than if you did read a book, maybe even just think about the chapter, or if there's something you've heard in a podcast. Because if you're listening to mine, I'm pretty sure you're probably listening to something else. But what is something that you can incorporate that that resonates with you in the sense that it will make a difference to how you show up to people around you? Try it for a week. Be really intentional about it. I know that I'm asking a lot, but trust me, I want you to go do it. And I want you to drop some comments. Like, let me know, what is it that you're trying? How is it going? I really want to understand, like, how much energy is it taking for you in order to implement this incremental change? All right. So we're going to do this together, y'all. I just did it. I just dropped a so, but I was intentional with that one. We're in this together. We're going to make good change together. Drop some information. Email me at podcast@KimberlyJBenoit.com. Let's ride this. Let's go on this ride together. Anyway, I look forward to hearing from you guys. Talk to you soon. I've got 2 things before I let you go. 1, if you've ever gotten any value from the show, please leave a 5-star review. It really helps and absolutely makes my day. The second thing is, if you have any thoughts you'd like to share with me, please shoot me an email at podcast@KimberlyJBenoit.com. I'd love to hear from you. All right, see you in the next episode.